It is now 6 p.m. and I want to welcome all of you to the City of Iowa City formal meeting, the second day of January 2024. So happy New Year to everyone that's in this room. Haven't seen many of you since last year, so happy that you're here. Yes, and also want to welcome our newest counselor, Counselor Joshua Moe. So happy that you're here with us as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then many of you may not know, but I was reappointed as mayor, and Mazir here was reappointed as Mayor Pro Tem. Yes, so we're going to start with roll call, please.
Alter.
Here.
Burgess.
Here.
Dunn.
Happy to be back.
Harmson.
Here.
Moe.
Here.
Saleh.
Yeah.
Teague.
Here. All right, we're going to move on to item number 2, which are proclamations. 2A is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. believed that each individual possesses the power of self-fulfillment, regardless of their circumstances, and that it is the duty of all humans to strengthen communities, elevate poverty, and harness the potential of us all. And whereas Dr. King's dream of transforming the world into one free from discrimination and intolerance continues in the minds of millions and has not been forgotten since his devastating death on April 4th, 1968. And whereas Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. dedicated his life to promoting peace, freedom, and opportunity through nonviolent means. And whereas the teachings of Dr. King can continue to guide and inspire us in addressing challenges in our communities. And whereas there are numerous ways to show service and respect to others, such as volunteering at your local hospital, donating books and games to families in need, organizing a food drive in your school, volunteering at a senior center, and many others. And whereas the City of Iowa City joins with other towns and cities across the country in the tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim Monday, January 15, 2024, to be Martin Luther King Jr. Day in Iowa City and urge all to join me in the celebration thereof. And to take this opportunity to reflect upon Dr. Martin Luther King's message of the principles of justice and equality for all. Receiving this proclamation are 2 individuals we'll have from our ad hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission, Commissioner Chad Simmons, and we will also have from our HRC Commission, Bijou. So we'll have them in that order. Welcome.
Thank you very much. First, I want to congratulate you all on your service and all of the work that you have done. It means the world to all of us who are servant leaders and who continue to strive and work hard.
Great. I'll give you that and I'll give you this.
When Martin started college, he was 16 years old. He went to a little school called Morehouse College, all-male African-American school. When people asked some of the professors, did they know that Martin Luther King was Martin Luther King, the answer was no. They knew he was bright and he was sharp, but they didn't know that he would change the world. It just brings to the point that every person can truly make a difference if they're willing to stand up and do the right thing. As a Morehouse alum and as a member of his dear fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, we continue to be honored by his service, by providing service, and we appreciate all the work that you all do to make our lives better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Welcome.
My voice is very high. Thank you so much for your service and what you guys been doing in the city of Iowa City. I'm going to read mine because it's a little longer. My name is Bijou Maliabo, and I'm a resident in Iowa City. I'm honored and pleased to make remark for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s Day. No person has more closely identified with the mid-20th century struggles for civil rights than Martin Luther King Jr. His adoption of nonviolence resistance to achieve equal rights for Black Americans earned him the Nobel Peace Prize. King is remembered for his masterpiece oratorical skills, more memorably in his I Have a Dream speech. King's legacy has inspired activists fighting injustice anywhere in the world. On this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, as we reflect on the timeless principle of justice and equality, let us extend our thoughts to regions in the world where these ideals are still striving to take root. Much like Dr. King confronted the injustice of his time, we must acknowledge the suffering of the Congolese people who continue to endure the devastating impact of war. It is a stark reminder that the fight for justice is not limited to our immediate surrounding, but extended to the broader global community. Dr. King's teaching implore us to be not only advocates for peace, but active participants in its pursuit. As we commemorate his legacy, let us amplify our voices against the violence and instability in the Congo and other countries in the world. In fact, in face of adversity, Dr. King's commitment to nonviolence served as a guiding light, urging us to seek diplomacy solution and empathize with the plight of those caught in the crossfire. Together, let us channel the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr. to advocate for a world where conflicts are resolved through dialogue, compassion triumph over cruelty, and the right of every individual, regardless of nationality, and upheld. This year, Dr. King will be 95 years of age. Please plan on participating in the community celebration of his life on Monday, January 15, from 9:30 to 12:30 at Mercer Park Center. The day will include a peace march, community service project, community speakers, and much more. I hope to see you all there, and thank you. May we strive for a world where peace prevail every corner of the globe. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to both of you for what you do and the service that you give to our community. 2B is National Day of Racial Healing. Whereas the City of Iowa City affirms that all people, regardless of their racial or ethnic group identification, skin color, or physical traits, deserve an equal opportunity to experience well-being in a just society and be full participants in our democracy. And whereas we acknowledge that we must work to address historic and present-day harms of racism, heal the wounds created by racial and ethnic bias, and build communities where all children can reach their full potential and thrive. And whereas all children have the right to safety, dignity, and humanity, and must be provided every opportunity to grow, learn, and flourish in a nurturing environment. And whereas if we all dedicate ourselves to a process that brings individuals and communities to wholeness, repairs the damage caused by racism, and transforms societal structures into one that affirms the inherent value of all people, we can bring about the necessary changes in thinking and behavior that will propel this great country forward as a society where everyone belongs. And whereas the City of Iowa City, in conjunction with others throughout the United States of America and across the globe, acknowledges the Tuesday following Martin Luther King Jr. Day as the National Day of Racial Healing, and urges all community members to promote racial healing and transformation individually and collectively as a means of working together to ensure the best quality of life for every child. Now, therefore, I, Bruce Teague, Mayor of Iowa City, do hereby proclaim the Tuesday following Martin Luther King Jr. birthday on the third Tuesday in January to be National Day of Racial Healing in Iowa City. And to receive this proclamation is our Human Rights Commission Chair, Commissioner Roger Lucella.
Thank you, Mayor Teague, and the entire council for honoring and recognizing this day, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King, as a racial healing day. Racial healing is an important issue to many, if not all, black and brown people in this country. The civil rights movement is the longest active movement in our society. While we have come a long way, I don't believe we have come far enough. Many other movements have come and have successfully surpassed the civil rights movement. In my opinion, for example, the disability rights, it has come and surpassed the civil rights movement. The LGBTQ rights movement has come and surpassed the civil rights movement. The normalization of mental illness has come and surpassed the civil rights movement. Those are everything we talk about today in our forefront. There are multiple reasons why the civil rights movement still lags, and we just need to work harder and make it more inclusive. And yes, with the black and brown people, we have so many diehard allies in this room and everywhere we go, that they are all working hard on the equalization of rights. However, many of them still do not identify with the issue facing the black and brown communities. It's sad to say that in the year 2024, many black and brown parents are still having the talk with their kids. I just had the talk with my 14-year-old who's gonna start testing for her driving permit. If you don't know the talk that I'm talking about, this happens in every black household. Before your daughter or your son gets out driving, you gotta sit them down and have the talk. The talk involves talking to them how to deal with police and the people that are sometimes supposed to protect and serve us. Those are issues that we talk about in our community. When our kids are out, we can't sleep. We're not even worrying about they're gonna get in a car accident. We're just hoping they're gonna get home if they get pulled over somewhere. Why have some of this movement have surpassed the civil rights movement? In my opinion, let's talk about the LGBTQ movement. Every one of us can identify with having a niece, a nephew, a cousin, twice removed, who's gay or trans. Let's talk about the disability movement. All of us can identify having a third cousin or an aunt somewhere or an aunt's kid who has a disability. Same thing for mental illness. But the reason the civil rights movement is still lagging, now all of us can identify with having a niece, a nephew, a cousin, an aunt who's black. So no matter how much we are appreciating our allies, we still, each of us, need to start finding ways to identify with black and brown community. We still need to start thinking, what about if that was my son? What about if that was my niece? Until we start identifying with the people that look different than us, we cannot really stand up and feel the pain that they feel when we see those images. So we're talking about racial healing. We need to come together, right? We need to reach out and we always talk about that. Reach out to people that are different, people of different race, but we really need to work on really identifying ourselves with one of them. So on this day, the Tuesday after Martin Luther King's Day, or the third Tuesday in January, I invite you guys to take the time and pause and reflect, imagine, and what you personally can do to start healing our nation, and what your family can do to start healing our city, or what our country can do to start healing from what I call the trauma of the past, the historical trauma. We're still dealing with it today, no matter how long. I always applaud our city. I love this city. And we have shown and continue to show that we can lead. Today is one of those days. Today, it's a great example of racial healing. As the council, you have re-elected my friend, the first ever openly gay black man for his third term as the mayor of Iowa City. And you also have re-elected the first ever proud re-elected Somalian immigrant black woman as the mayor pro term. Sudanese, sorry. I meant to say Sudanese, not Somali. So this is how we start healing the racial issue that we have. We have to identify. If we can trust that these people can lead our city, then we also have to trust that people who look different than us, they belong. It's sad that on January 1st, the law started now prohibiting many universities teaching about inclusion and equity and all that stuff, when we should have been far ahead, not even talking about equity and inclusion. We should talking about belonging, because we all should feel a sense of belonging. So thank you, Iowa City Council. Thank you, Mayor, for declaring this day as the Racial Healing Day. I invite you to pause, reflect, and see what you can do to move our country a little bit forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for your service. We're going to move on to our consent agenda, which is items 3 through 8. Could I get a motion to approve it, please?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Saleh and seconded by Dunn. And anyone from the public like to address this topic? Any? 6B is on here. Yes, yes. So any of the items that are 3 through 8, and if you're online, if you're online, please raise your hand if you would like to talk on any item that is on our consent agenda. And then as a reminder, we do have sign-in stickers in the back of the room, as well as a sign-in at the table. We'll give you up to 3 minutes. Welcome.
Greetings, David Sterling from Iowa City. Commenting on item 6B, the proposed $12.75 million in tax breaks over the next 5 years to Alpla Incorporated is a mistake. Not only is the city subsidizing a large corporation that made $4 billion in 2022, it is an investment in a plastics corporation. The city's strategic plan makes it clear that combating climate change is to be a serious initiative, and this investment will go against that. This $12.75 million could instead be invested in jobs that combat climate change. This could take the form of jobs that research, develop, and implement climate-friendly solutions, but could also take the form of jobs that prepare the city for future climate-related events, such as the derecho of 2020. Considering the state cuts to the city budget have affected other spending discussions, this seems like an inappropriate investment on multiple fronts. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address this topic?
Mayor, can we get more volume on the outside?
Yes, we'll make that happen. Thank you. Anyone else like to address this topic? Any of the items 3 through 8? Seeing no one in person or online, we're going to move to council discussion.
We separate 6A.
You,
We have to, 6B, whatever.
it's 6A.
6B.
Oh, 6B, sorry. Yeah, 6B. So there is a motion to, I guess, at this point, we have all of them here, but there is a motion to separate 6B.
I believe the council rules allow for any single council member to remove
Sure.
an item from the consent agenda to be considered separately.
Separately? Great. Okay.
I'd like to do that.
All right. So then this is, what we'll do is we'll discuss items 3 through 8 except for 6B. So that's what we're discussing at this time.
3 through 8.
Yes.
That's what we're discussing.
3 through 8 minus 6B.
Right. Okay.
Hearing no discussion by council, roll call, please.
Dunn,
Yes.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Saleh,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes?
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We are on to item number 6B. So council discussion.
Jeff, could you walk us through this? Just like the mechanics of everything and what's being requested?
Yeah, sure. The item before you is a resolution supporting ALPLA's High Quality Jobs Act application to the Iowa Economic Development Authority. The $12.75 million is the anticipated investment that ALPLA will be making, not the anticipated subsidy from either the city or the state. ALPLA currently employs about 231 people in Iowa City. They're looking to add a training center so they can start their own apprenticeship program here to bolster their employment in future years. It's estimated that would create 36 new full-time jobs offering living wages. The estimated pay per hour of those jobs is $30.65 an hour, and that would include comprehensive health benefits as well. Your packet has a little bit more detail in there concerning the type of investment they would be making. But the state program does require local support and does require a local match, if you will. So what would follow this would be a tax abatement schedule, and that's outlined in your report. It'd be a 5-year tax abatement schedule that would be sliding, meaning that every year it would decrease in value. And it's estimated that could provide approximately $578,000 in support. So that would be the tax abatement support the city would potentially offer. Again, the $12.7 million would be ALPLA's investment in this training center.
Mayor, I would add a couple things. One is that the tax abatement is only on the new value, not the present value of the facility that's there. And also, I'm afraid, I don't think I heard a motion for 6B, sorry.
Got it.
In a second.
I moved.
Yes, could I get a motion for 6B on our consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Alter. Okay. Continued discussion by council. Roll call. Oh,
Sorry, just gathering my thoughts. So one of the things that is hardest for council, at least I'll speak for myself, is balancing multiple opportunities as well as multiple drawbacks. And I take the public comment well in hand for your pointing out this is a plastics company, and that there should be some pause and some discussion about this. Equally, one of the things that is a recurring theme and is also part of our strategic plan is about bringing well-paying, highly skilled jobs to Iowa City. And we have heard from many in this room about how expensive it is to live in Iowa City, and that people cannot afford to live here, that people cannot, there are not jobs commensurate with the cost of living. This is an investment in the community by, yes, a large business, something that, in fact, we have been, as a council, very concerned about in terms of the way that the state has taken away home rule and has impacted our ability to levy local taxes. So at the same time that there may be people who are not in agreement with this on the face of it, as a counselor, I kind of try to take multiple things in hand, and I feel that right now one of the things that is first and foremost for a number of people in Iowa City is to have well-paying, skilled jobs and to keep businesses here in the city so that people can continue to afford to live here. So I will be voting in favor of this, but I just wanted to try to explain some of the reasoning behind it, acknowledging that there are hard decisions that need to be made, and that in spite of us having multiple prongs of a strategic plan that are all working towards a greater good, sometimes they will be in conflict or appear that way.
Roll call, please.
Harmson,
Yes.
Mo,
Yes.
Saleh,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Alter,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We are on to item number 9, which is community comment on things that are not on our agenda. So if you want to address a topic that is not on our agenda, I want to just see the hands of those that want to address a topic not on our agenda. And if you're online, please virtually raise your hand as well. Okay, so I just see 3 individuals before us. We're going to allow for 3 minutes. Please state your name and the city you're from, and again, there's a sign-in sheet unless you have the sticker from the back. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Amel Ali, and I live in Iowa City. I'm here today in solidarity with the community members asking for the resolution, but I'm also here to start a conversation about what is to come and what's going to happen in council chambers shortly. The city budget, where our tax dollars will be spent in FY25. It's January, and from my understanding, city staff will be representing the first draft of the City of Iowa City budget to council soon. So from then until March is when it's finalized. That's going to be the time to let you know where we stand as constituents and let you know where our priorities lie, what public safety and community safety looks like, what climate justice looks like for us, where we believe the money should be used for all of those things. Last year, there was a tremendous outpouring of public comment and requests for further engagement from community members in regards to the increase in the police budget and in support of Councilor Burgess's amendment and desire to shift funds into prevention and survivor-centered accountability. Many council members who are sitting here today spoke on the need to further engage with community members before making such changes. And to my understanding, I'm not sure if many of those conversations were had. However, there was a constituent who put together some really good points of criticism. Last year, folks came together and they cleaned Ralston Creek, the creek that runs through this entire community. I'm curious as why it's up to a bunch of 20-something-year-old college students to bring this to your attention and beg you to make sure our water is being taken care of. There are car washes in Coralville who are dumping toxic waste into the water. I want the city to learn from this horrible mistake and have measures in place to hold entities and owners of these companies accountable. We had community members come together to have 2 amazing repair cafes where individuals could be taught how to sew a button, fix their bikes, fix radios, lamps, etc., to avoid wasting these items, and instead coming together and building community while learning to repair household products and clothes. What would it look like if the city gave stipends to those individuals and offered more of these repair cafes? All these issues relate to each other because every decision we make as a community and every decision we ask elected officials to make on our behalf represents our values and how we choose to use our resources. I feel lucky to live in Iowa City. I'm proud to be represented by the first Sudanese women elected into council. I'm proud to have helped re-elect our abolitionist angel, Laura, and last but not least, be represented by Andrea's mom. I'm proud of the strides we're making towards a better and more equitable community, despite living in a state that feels like it's trying to rip all of my agency and rights away.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, David Sterling from Iowa City. I've been informed that the fiscal year 2025 budget will include a 3% increase to the police department budget. Last year in April, the Iowa City Police Department was awarded a $955,000 increase to its budget. This was approved after City Manager Jeff Fruin gave a presentation showing that Iowa City Police Department has gone under budget for multiple years in a row, and 99% of responding citizens voiced disapproval of the increase. The mayor and Mayor Pro Tem said that they did not want to rush into diverting those funds without a plan in place. However, there was no plan given to justify the increase. Iowa City Police Department has saved money by failing to meet its quota for hiring officers. This is due to extensive public criticism of ICPD on political and scientific criteria, leading to few interested applicants. Officers are currently being forced into unhealthy levels of costly overtime to maintain services that have been proven ineffective and unpopular. The science is as clear here as it is with climate change. The public cost of increasing police budgets directly corresponds to an increase in crime due to the damage policing does to communities. For the health of the public and the police officers, these services must be rolled back and the officers return to regular hours. Were the police under budget again last year? Where did the $955,000 go? Why do they need another 3%? If council cannot answer these questions, it cannot justify this spending. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Brandon Ross from Iowa City, Iowa. Good to see all of you. Martin Luther King Day. Martin Luther King is definitely one of the greatest Americans. Some things that are not mentioned about him is that he said that racism and capitalism are two sides of the same coin. He was basically a socialist by the time he died. He was very critical of the U.S. involvement in Vietnam. He believed we should not be there. We should not be arming one side of that conflict. He said that the United States was the most brutal government in the world, in the history of the world. That's Martin Luther King. We need to remember this because he stood for so many things. He's such a powerful individual who affected so many of us. I come up here today to encourage people to continue to protest the sending of arms, not only to Palestine, but to Ukraine. I am Ukrainian by background. My mother is first-generation American. We're from Kiev. And basically, the regime that's in Kiev is a fascist regime. The U.S. is supporting the wrong group again. Just to bring up 1 year, 2019. In 2019, UNICEF actually wrote a report that said that over 500,000 Eastern Ukrainian children were at risk of death because of what was going on from the Kiev regime. At that point, it was between Poroshenko and Zelensky. And basically, the attacks of that regime upon eastern Ukraine created a lot of death. Over 16,000, over 2,000 children died in those attacks. That's 2019. 2019, Viktor Poroshenko, Petro Poroshenko, he retired from office with a 9% approval rating. That was the lowest rating of any leader in any country in the world. You can look this up. The United States is supporting Petro Poroshenko and actually installed him in power along with Arseniy Yatsenyuk, the prime minister, who only had a 1% approval rating when he went into office. The U.S. has been supporting this brutal fascist group all those 8 years until Russia did intercede. Now, Russia did not attack Ukraine. Russia came in order to protect eastern Ukraine. Zelensky's popularity now is under 20%. His approval rating is low. Ukrainians do not support Zelensky. Ukrainians do not support this regime since 2014. The United States supports this regime because it stands to gain. It sold weapons, and economically, they want Ukraine. I plead with people. I plead with you. Call and write your Congress members and demand that we stop sending weapons into Ukraine. $100 billion in weapons. We can use that money at home. We can call for peace. Same with Palestine. Let's go.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address a topic that is not on our agenda? Seeing no one, we're going to move to we're going to move to planning and zoning matters. We're going to move to item number 10A. And I do know that Councilor Moe will recuse himself on this item. So 10A is Comprehensive Plan Amendment, Southwest District. Resolution to amend the Comprehensive Plan and Southwest District Plan to allow assisted group living uses for the property located at 1201 West Benton Street. And I'm going to open the public hearing and welcome Tracy Heishu.
Hello. I will be presenting the planning and zoning items tonight, as Danielle will not be able to be here. So for this item, we have the comprehensive plan amendment. Oak Knoll Retirement Residence recently purchased about 0.78 acres of property located at 1201 West Benton Street, just south of Oak Knoll's main campus. The owner is working with Axiom Consultants to prepare 2 applications to permit a campus expansion by allowing a small assisted group living, what we'd call a nursing home or what Oak Knoll calls a healthcare center, that would house up to 12 residents in a single-story building on their on the property. The owner plans to accomplish this through a comprehensive plan amendment to amend the future land use map designation in the comp plan from 2 to 8 dwelling units per acre to 8 to 16 dwelling units per acre in the Southwest District Plan, from single-family duplex residential to low-density multifamily residential, and a zoning map amendment. You can see through the white outlines this is the subject property. It is currently developed with a detached single-family dwelling. To the north of Oak Knoll is campus, you find additional assisted group living uses. To the west, south, and east are low-density single-family uses. The zoning reflects what actually is in the neighborhood. Oak Knoll's campus is zoned as a mix of medium and high-density residential with a planned development overlay, and to the south, east, and west is zoned low-density single-family residential. The applicant, Oak Knoll, is proposing a small assisted group living nursing home healthcare center that would house up to 12 residents in a single-story building on the subject property they recently purchased. This proposal includes two applications, the comp plan amendment, and then follows this to the rezoning. The comp plan amendment would change the future land use map. The rezoning would rezone the property from low-density single-family residential to low-density multifamily residential. The proposed amendment is a smaller expansion of the Oak Knoll campus than what occurred in 2012 when they expanded by 69 units west of George Street. That also required a comp plan amendment and a rezoning to medium-density multifamily residential with a planned development overlay and vacation of Spring Street. The exhibit from the Southwest District Plan provides an overview of the surrounding neighborhood. You can see in the black circled area where the property that we are referencing is. It is in the Benton Hill neighborhood. The Southwest District Plan was initially adopted in 2002, prior to our current zoning code. You can see higher density uses to the north, and then single-family duplex uses south of the Benton around this property. In reviewing a comprehensive plan amendment, the city uses 2 criteria. Have circumstances changed or additional information been brought to light that's in the public interest, and is the proposed amendment compatible with other policies or provisions of the comp plan? In 2000, the population of Iowa City was about 62,000, of which 4,500 were 65 years or older. That amounts to about 7% of our population. Over the past 20 years, Iowa City's population, I imagine in Johnson County, has grown to, in Iowa City, over 75,000, of which 8,600 or 12% are 65 years or older. The city is expected to continue growing, and the baby boomer generation will continue to age into this cohort. As a result, the city will continue to need additional assisted living and nursing capacity in our market. The proposed comprehensive plan change would allow this expansion. It's intended to allow for a diversity of housing options through special attention. Those special attention must be paid to ensure compatibility of these housing types. Overall, these trends indicate a public interest in reviewing the property's future land use category. Around 2004, Hawks Ridge was found to be compatible with neighborhoods to the west due to a careful site design. In 2012, Oak Knoll expanded west across George Street, but the building was designed to create an appropriate transition from existing single-family neighborhoods. The proposed amendment is much less intense than the previous comprehensive plan amendments. Recommended actions in the Southwest District Plan that were considered include avoiding concentrations of high-density multifamily zoning directly adjacent to low-density single-family zoning, applying the multifamily residential design standards to the Roosevelt subarea, and reviewing the multifamily residential design standards to ensure compatibility of new multifamily development. The last two were accomplished through the 2005 zoning code update adopted after this plan was drafted. The proposed amendment is consistent with several goals and strategies revolving land use and housing in the comprehensive plan. The proposed action is highlighted in orange. This is a comprehensive plan amendment. The applicant has used the Good Neighbor policy and held a Good Neighbor meeting on September 5th, 2023. Based on the review of the relevant criteria, staff recommends approval of the proposed amendment. At its December 6th meeting, the Planning and Zoning Commission concurred with staff's opinion and recommended approval of the comp plan amendment to the City Council by a vote to a 5-0. And that ends the presentation for the comprehensive plan amendment, and then it'll be back for the rezoning.
Great. All right. Any questions for Tracy by the council? Hearing none, thank you.
Oh, I forgot to say that Steve Moe from Oak Knoll is here if you have questions for him, too.
Great. Great. Did you have anything you wanted to present? We're going to welcome.
If I may, Mayor, normally the developer presentation would be at the rezoning, which is the next item, as opposed to the comprehensive plan where we are now.
Okay, great. All right. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please raise your hand at this time. Seeing no one in person or online, before I close the public hearing, I just wanted to ask the council if they're inclined to vote with P&Z.
So this is the comprehensive plan amendment. The rezoning, that'll be a question we need to ask, but not for a comprehensive
for the next
plan
one.
amendment. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Alter.
Second, Burgess.
All right. And discussion by council. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great opportunity for additional services, I think, because of the type of living that it'll be and the supports that the individuals will be receiving. So, yeah.
And it fits well with what the rest of the Southwest comp plan is.
Yeah, agreed. Roll call, please.
Saleh?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Item number 10B is rezoning 1201 West Benton Street. Ordinance conditionally rezoning approximately .78 acres of land located at 1201 West Benton Street from low-density residential to low-density multifamily residential. And I'm going to open the public hearing and welcome Tracy Heishu again.
Thanks. As I mentioned previously, Oak Knoll recently purchased approximately 0.78 acres of property located at 1201 West Benton Street, just south of their main campus. This is the second of two applications prepared by Axiom Consultants for a campus expansion of a small nursing home. In zoning, we call that assisted group living. That would house up to 12 residents in a single-story building on the property. The owner plans to accomplish this through a comprehensive plan amendment and a zoning map amendment to change the zoning designation from low-density single-family to low-density multifamily. It is the lot in question is currently occupied by a single-family home. Uses to the north, northeast are primarily medium to high-density multifamily uses with planned development overlays. To the west, south, and east are low-density single-family uses. The proposed zone allows a variety of uses either by right or provisionally, or by special exception. It requires compliance with multifamily design site development standards, limits density to 12 dwelling units or 45 roomers, and height limit of no more than 35 feet. Multifamily means apartments or a structure with multiple dwelling units. The max is 12 units. Assisted group living means one dwelling shared by multiple occupants, like a nursing home, with the max of 45 roomers. Community service means libraries, museums, youth clubs, shelters. General education facilities mean public or private schools. The proposed zone still allows detached single-family and duplexes. The conceptual design is to construct a one-story, 8,700 square foot building housing 12 residents in a healthcare center assisted group living arrangement. In reviewing rezoning, the city uses two criteria: consistency with the comp plan and compatibility with existing neighborhood. If adopted, the rezoning application would be consistent with the comp plan. Benton Street is an arterial street corridor with access to city services. Recommended conditions would regulate the bulk and scale of higher intensity level use and address additional policies in the plan. The plan encourages high-quality multifamily housing compatible with surrounding developments to meet the needs of a variety of households. Where we are, the applicant has used the Good Neighbor policy and had a Good Neighbor meeting on September 5th, 2023. Based on a review of the relevant criteria, staff recommended approval with the first condition. And that first condition staff recommended was general compliance with the footprint and scale of the development concept to ensure compatibility with the existing neighborhood development pattern. And then at the Planning and Zoning meeting on December 6th, the commission concurred with the staff's opinion and also recommended the rezoning with two additional conditions: that the building should not exceed 1 story in height, and approval of a landscaping plan by the city forester that preserves as much of the existing landscape as possible. A signed conditional zoning agreement has been received. These are just photos of the concept plan. It's just a concept plan, but you get the 1-story infill of that lot. And that finishes the presentation for
The rezoning part. Any questions for Tracy? All right. Steve Rowe, would you like to come up? Great.
Thank you, Mayor Teague and Council. I am Steve Rowe. I am CEO at Oak Knoll, and I've had the privilege of serving the Oak Knoll community for 24 years. Hope to be there for a few more. We have currently 480 residents, and about 50 of those 480 residents live in our nursing care, what we call the health center. The building that we are proposing at 1201 West Benton would really be kind of a new style nursing home, and it's one that we're very proud of. Our architect did a fantastic job in building something that just looks like a modern home that would fit into the neighborhood really well, and that home will house and serve 12 of our most dependent residents. Have common areas with a kitchen and dining space and living room space, space for family members when someone is close to death, space for family to stay with their loved one. We're very proud of the design and are excited about the opportunity to move forward with this with your approval.
Great, thank you.
I have a question for him.
There's a question for you.
Yeah. So this is not something that is really at all related to my decision making. It's just more of a curiosity out of knowledge of the area. Do you know what kind of traffic you'd see? Not like car traffic, but just like movement between facilities that you'd see between this new location and what you already have?
Yeah, we don't anticipate much traffic between the north side of Benton Street and the south side of Benton Street. The staff who will work in this building would pretty much come to work for their shift in that building. It will house 12 nursing home level residents who do have some visitors through the course of the day, but generally that's kind of spread out through a day and is typically heavier on weekends.
Do you guys anticipate any need for a crosswalk nearby? Because I know that the closest one is pretty far.
Yes, that's one of the things that was brought up in the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the need to look at a potential study to do a crosswalk specifically at that George Street intersection, and that's something we absolutely would support.
We did a street overlay this summer, and so curb ramps were put on Weber Street.
Mm-hmm.
So if this zoning is approved, we put all the appropriate signage with the reflective signage for the crosswalk.
Cool.
But it'd be Weber, because I think there's some slope issues or different issues at George Street. So it'd be Weber that the crosswalk would be at.
Sure. Thank you.
Great. All right, thank you. All right. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're online, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please raise your hand. Yep, please come up. State your name and city you're from.
My name is Amel Ali, and I live here in Iowa City. I think that it is important to have resources for the elderly population. Bruce and I have talked about, working as nurses in the past, how often that's a population that is forgotten about when we think about these things. One question that I do have as it pertains to Oaknall is, what does the population look like? Does the average person who's utilizing Oaknall services, do they tend to come from, let's say, a background that would give them the privilege to be able to have these kinds of, and I mean, it's high quality care. It's amazing care. I've seen, the units that you have there. But I'm just wondering how much it costs an individual or an individual's family to be housed at any of these locations. And if there are things that you do for people who may not have the financial means, but would require that level of stay or that level of care. Because we do know that, there's not a lot of, rehab facilities and things like that. So I was just kind of thinking about that. You might not have the answer now, but just something I thought about. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments anyone want to give to council at this time? Seeing no one. All right, before I close the public hearing, just wanted to know if council was inclined to vote with P&Z. All right, so I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion for first consideration, please?
Move first consideration.
Second.
Yep, moved by Saleh, seconded by Dunn. All right, and council discussion.
I just think that this is really thoughtful in the way in which it's worked into the existing neighborhood, as well as understanding that our immediate, not just national population, is aging, and to be able to offer these facilities for those who have the most need, I think it's a really good addition.
Yeah, it is great facility. I've been there, and to see another one in the same area, so it would be great. Yeah.
I think the concept of this is great for our community to see when we're talking about a place where people live that need services. And so we may call it a facility, but it really is someone's home. And it's going to be someone's home nestled, in adjacent to single-family residential homes. And I love this concept, especially for really our most vulnerable population. And so I'll be very proud to support this tonight. I also wanted to acknowledge that Councilor Moe is also recusing himself from this item as well as the next item. Roll call, please.
Sutla?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Item number 10C is zoning code amendment, reduction of maximum allowable height in the RNS 12 zone. Ordinance amending Title 14, zoning to reduce the maximum allowable height in the neighborhood stabilization residential zone from 35 feet to 27 feet for single-family and duplex uses. This is second consideration. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Alter. And council, anyone from the public like to address this topic? Please raise your hand at this time. If you're online, do a virtual hand, please. So this is for item number 10C. Seeing no one in the public wanting to address this topic, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Teague?
No?
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Harmson.
Yes.
Saleh.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-1. We're on to item number, we'll get Counselor Mo back in here. All right. We're on to item number 11A, conveyance of a gas regulatory easement to MidAmerican Energy Company. Resolution approving conveyance of a gas regulatory easement to MidAmerican Energy Company at the Hickory Hill entrance at North 7th Avenue. I'm going to open up the public hearing and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Scott Sobers, Assistant City Engineer. This item is for the conveyance of a non-exclusive 750 square foot gas regulator easement to MidAmerican Energy within the 7th Avenue entrance into Hickory Hill Park. The approximate location of the easement is outlined in red within the aerial image before you. For some background information, MidAmerican Energy relocated a portion of their gas main facilities within the area in preparation for the Rochester Avenue Improvements Project. In addition to the relocations, they also replaced an existing below-grade regulator station located near the intersection of Rochester Avenue and 7th Avenue with an above-grade station within the proposed easement area. This was done because the existing below-grade station not only caused safety concerns for MidAmerican, but also was difficult for them to maintain as it routinely, filled with water. Whoops. I don't know what I just did. Sorry about that. The new above-ground station has been installed in accordance with the MidAmerican's current practices and allows for improved access and easier maintenance. Additionally, the risk of having it struck by an errant vehicle is mitigated by having it located outside of the street right away. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Hearing no questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're in person, please raise your hand. If you're online, please raise your virtual hand. Seeing no one in person or online, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved. Alter.
Second, Burgess.
All right, council discussion. Roll call, please.
Alter.
Yes.
Burgess.
Yes.
Dunn.
I'm going to recuse.
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna
abstain or recuse?
Recuse. I'm not going to participate.
Normally one would recuse.
I'll abstain and we'll talk.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
I'll abstain and we'll talk.
Okay. Harmson.
Yes.
Mo.
Yes.
Saleh.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
And for clarity's sake, is there a legal conflict? I ask only because it matters for the distribution of votes under council.
I own stocks, and I was just wondering about that. I want to be careful.
Probably not more than 5%, though.
No.
Okay. Well, then.
So in that case, can I change my vote?
You may vote.
Then
yes.
yes.
Okay. Our motion passes 7-0. All right, we are on to item number 11B, sale of 1311 Sandusky Drive, resolution authorizing conveyance of a single-family home located at 1311 Sandusky Drive. I'm going to open the public hearing and welcome Tracy Heishu.
Hello. For our new members, the South District home, I just want to give a little bit of update, and then I'll talk about this home. We purchased 11 duplexes in the tailored Sandusky Davis area. That'll be 22 future homes. As these units are vacated, once both units are vacated, we renovate the home, we do a condo deck to separate it, and we sell it as affordable home ownership. So this is our 7th home that we have rehabilitated and we will sell. You can see the before and after photos. We've pretty much did a gut rehab for this home. In addition to just our normal windows, doors, we put in extra insulation. We put in new air source heat pump and an air source water heater, both 100% electric. We upgraded the 200 amp electric service, which can support a future EV charging station. You can see the kitchen remodel. I always love before and after photos. We did bathrooms. That bottom photo is the basement. This is a larger unit for us, one of the larger. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath unit. The sales price of the home is $230,000. However, we put $50,000 of that as a second mortgage. It's a silent second it's a conditional loan. If they're in the home for 10 years, it's completely forgiven. Each year it decreases. And then we provide up to $25,000 in home down payment assistance for qualifying. So this homeowner has been through the homeowner education courses and counseling, so they can own this house and finance it for approximately $155,000. So it is affordable, and this is the buyer is a new homeowner and a resident of the South District. Nice. So, now, any questions? Take them. All right.
No questions. Thank you. Anyone from the public like to address this topic? If you're in person, please raise your hand and come on up. If online, please raise your hand, your virtual hand. Seeing no one online. And also, I do see a caller. You would have to dial *9, I believe, in order to speak, if you're a caller. Welcome.
Hi again, it's Amel. So this program is super cool. I think that it is one of the most amazing things that you guys have done in the last few years. I have taken tours of the homes. I have seen and made friends with people that currently live in the homes, and they're amazing. I love these kinds of initiatives that you all have made. I'm hoping that, as budget season rolls around, you're looking to increase these kinds of initiatives. This is really important. Those statistics that Ms. Heishu gave were incredible, and I think that this is an amazing opportunity, especially in Iowa City in that South District. So thank you for that, and congratulations on that one being finished. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address a topic? Anyone else like to address this topic? Seeing no one, I'm going to close the public hearing. Could I get a motion to approve, please?
So move.
Second, Alter.
Moved by Saleh, seconded by Alter. And council discussion.
I love this program. Thank you, Tracy. And, I just remember when this started, always Mayor Tiggs remind me with that, because it was in the day of his election when we start talking about this. So this is amazing, and I love the concept that we are selling it to the people who either live there in the house or live in the neighborhood, which is great. So increasing home ownership for those people is really amazing. And just keep going. I guess I hope the city keep doing this. Thank you, Tracy, and the staff.
Absolutely.
Ditto. Yes, this is, as somebody who lives around the corner from where these units are available, it is amazing to see it come up and to see, older rental units get rehabbed and see people move in is tremendous, but it also really does create, it's another version of neighborhood stabilization. It helps with generational wealth, and really has so many offshoots that are positive. So I commend the beginnings of this program and where it's come since the beginning to now. It's really successful and it's really exciting. Thank you.
I think one of the most powerful things is seeing someone in the neighborhood transition from renter to owner, and that gives so many people hope. So I'm super excited that we have this opportunity again before us. Roll call, please.
Burgess?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Saleh?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item number 11C is Palestine and Israel ceasefire resolution supporting a permanent ceasefire in Palestine and Israel, the return of all captives, and the delivery of humanitarian aid, and affirming opposition to anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and anti-Arab bigotry, with the aim of achieving a just and lasting political solution. And could I get a motion to approve, please?
Move.
Second.
Moved by Saleh, seconded by Burgess. And just wanted to talk a little bit about this resolution that's before us. As many individuals know, in our community, we heard from a lot of voices that wanted the council to have a resolution. And it really didn't start at our last December meeting. We've been hearing from various voices in our community. And now Mayor Pro Tem really wanted to get some community members around the table to have a discussion about what is it that we can do locally. We realize that no matter what we wrote, no matter what we did, there may not be an actual response that we would see across the globe from what we write here in Iowa City, but we also felt that it was important to have voices to create a document that I overall represented the thoughts of Iowa City for the people that live here. We do recognize that this document is, it can be viewed by many in various lights, but our true hope was to really find a way to express ourselves, to show that the love and support for all the Palestinians and Israel individuals that live in our community. And so this that is before us tonight has been an achieved effort by various community members that have come together. One night we had 16 individuals that came together and sat around a table. Started at 8 p.m. and it was probably 10:30 or later before we left. So, and there was various other meetings, follow-up meetings, to make sure that people had the opportunity to come back and make any revisions with the intentionality of doing what we can to make sure that we decrease the harm between each other during these discussions. And so I'll leave it at that. I know that there's a lot of individuals, some individuals here that want to speak. I wanted to get a raising of hands so that I can determine how many individuals wanted to speak. And if you are online and you want to speak, please raise your hand as well so that I can count you in this number also. All right, I see about 10 people, maybe 11 before us. Okay. All right. So we're going to give 3 minutes. I just will give a heads up that I may have to reduce the number if there is some more people getting up, but I'll give 3 minutes, and also ask that if something that, because this is a very important topic, so please state your name and the city you're from. There are stickers in the back that I will request people to pre-fill out, so you can just drop it in the basket. You don't have to take off the sticker, but just drop it in the basket. Otherwise, you can sign in at the desk when you come. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
Hello, I am Dima Tota. I'm an Iowa City resident, and I'm a Palestinian American, a professor of mechanical engineering as well. I spoke here 3 weeks ago and shared some of my experiences growing up under Israeli occupation. And today, I'm speaking to you on behalf of Iowa City Action for Palestine, a local citizens group. I want to thank you all for listening and working with your community to propose this resolution, a resolution that has so much community support. In the last few months, I've met and worked alongside individuals from a wide cross-section of this community, including Christians, Jews, Muslims, members of the LGBTQ+ community, students, nurses, social workers, librarians, and more. I have never felt more hopeful, more united. We all know our rights are connected. They are universal. Beyond the people standing in this room, the text of this resolution you have in front of you right now has been publicly endorsed by over 20 organizations locally, and this is just and over 140 individuals. This is just in the past 48 hours. So this is since Sunday morning during a holiday. And this number has continued to grow ever since 2 p.m. today, including the addition of the Great Plains Action Society. This community is diverse, and it is unified in demanding peace, justice, and freedom for all. Looking at this council today, I envy you, because each one of you has a voice today, a platform you have earned with this council seat. We, as U.S. citizens, have not been given a choice about whether we support Israel's bombing and killing of Palestinians, mass destruction of Palestinian society and infrastructure. Our government has forced us to pay for Israeli militarization and ongoing oppression of Palestinians through our tax dollars to Israel and through U.S. vetoes at the UN. But here today, you have a voice, you have a choice to say Palestinian and Israeli rights are human rights. Washington has not heard us, so we've come to you to amplify our voices. So raise your heads high and vote proudly to pass this resolution, this text. Vote to unify our community with global values, to move our society forward, to say we are not okay with the continuation of destruction, of killing, and starvation of children anywhere. Pass this resolution for all of us. Enable us to reject this forced complicity. Iowa City will not be complicit. We will not be silent. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, I'm Danny Masiuk from Iowa City and a member of Jewish Voices for Peace, Eastern Iowa. The Jewish people are a people of resilience. My great-grandparents were Holocaust survivors who did everything they could to protect their children and their descendants. It kills me that Israel is doing the same in their name. Zionism, a political movement that Judaism predates by thousands of years, has become a violent colonial ideology. There is no justification that Judaism gives to Israel and the Israeli government for the genocide that they are perpetuating. Israel is using Judaism and those killed or traumatized by anti-Semitism as reasoning for their crimes. It is a propaganda campaign, plain and simple. These are dangerous lies for both Jews and Palestinians. Why should the safety of my people come at the expense of an entire population? In no world is that something I will allow to happen in my name, and in no way is that a Jewish value. To be for the liberation of Palestine is to know that colonialism has no place in our world, even when framed in a way that seems to imply it's for the greater good of a marginalized people. Jewish pain and trauma are not justification for the pain and trauma of the Palestinians. Anti-Zionists know that liberation is a collective fight. The safety and freedom of the Palestinian people and the Jewish people around the world go hand in hand. The death of white supremacy and colonialism is needed for the death of anti-Semitism. They are linked. And to say that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism is to diminish the real pain Jewish people have experienced and still endure today. How is condemning an occupation equal to the pogroms, Shoah, synagogue shootings, and hate crimes of our history and present day? I urge the passing of this resolution because we as a city need to stand against genocide and for the liberation of Palestinians. We must stand together as a community in the call for an immediate ceasefire and for the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is David Lubaroff. I am the current president of the Agudas Achim Synagogue and of the Board of Trustees. I am not here to comment on the intent of the resolution. I applaud its attempt to repress anti-Semitism, anti-Islamophobia, etc. But I'd like to address some of the wording that's used, and if this is going to be released as a resolution, I think we need to reflect the current and correct conditions. I object to the word captives. The Israelis that were taken by the Hamas terrorists are hostages. There's a difference between a captive and a hostage, and I would like the correct term to be reflected in the document. Also, I'm troubled by the term civilians when referring to the killings in Gaza and West Bank. Hamas terrorists are civilians. Civilians is usually a term used as comparing it to the military. There is no formal official military of Hamas, so the terms that should be used are combatants and innocents. Certainly, innocent people are being killed, and that needs to come to an end. I also object to the phrase in item number 5, which states, especially those that aim to alleviate the urgent humanitarian disaster in Gaza. I think it'd be better stated to include both the release of Israeli hostages and to alleviate the humanitarian disaster in Gaza. I ask council, finally, I see no purpose in the item that states the number of dollars of taxes paid by Iowa City taxpayers for military and humanitarian aid. It doesn't flow with the intent of the resolution, and it can be inflammatory. So I ask the council to make appropriate changes that I have suggested before accepting this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
My name is Maher Josephson, Johnson County, Precinct 10, University of Iowa alum, grew up in Palestine, immigrated to the U.S. 49 years ago. I represent an organization called People for Justice in Palestine. I proffer to say that we should rename the ceasefire resolution to End the Genocide in Gaza resolution as a more apt nomenclature. Hamas attacked Israel on October 7 for 1 day. Israel has been bombarding Gaza in a genocidal fashion for almost 3 months, aided and abetted by our federal government with endless supply of weapons, influenced by Zionist lobbying groups and cheered by the profiteers of the military-industrial complex. It's now evident that Hamas's goal on October 7 was to break the shackles of occupation in the blockade on Gaza and to secure the release of thousands of Palestinian prisoners who have been languishing in the Israeli gulag for years, indeed for decades. Every Palestinian prisoner in the Israeli gulag is a political prisoner, and some of them even had no charges levied against them in a complete denial of due process of law. An apt description of such a situation can be called total human degradation and absolute oppression, a mark of settler colonial forces at play here. By voting, sorry, I lost it. By voting for the consensus resolution, you will be sending a message to public officials outside the jurisdiction of Iowa City that Iowa City citizens are not fooled by propaganda, the undue influence of military-industrial complex, and Zionist lobbying groups in the U.S. I urge you to vote yes on this resolution. I urge the listeners of my speech to contact their representatives on the local, state, and federal levels, including the two senators from Iowa, and urge them to call for a ceasefire in Gaza now. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
Hello, my name is Tristan Bracewell, and I live here in Iowa City. I get up here and complain a lot about what you guys do, so I wanted to start off by actually commending you for the text of the resolution that you've drafted for the Palestine-Israel ceasefire and urge you to vote yes on it. Specifically, I was pleasantly surprised to see the inclusion of thousands of Palestinians, including minors, held without charge in Israeli prisons as a necessary part of any hostage exchange. I was also happy to see the United States government called out for its complicity in Israel's actions, and I was happy to see the amount of tax dollars that citizens of this community contribute that are being used to fund the slaughter and displacement of Palestinian people. I would like to challenge the council to go further in investigating ways to ensure Iowa City is divested from entities that profit from the violent occupation and slaughter of Palestinian people from their land. As the city continues to grapple with issues of police funding, I would also like to draw attention to the connections between the oppression of Palestinians and people in our communities. Many of the tactics and weapons used by law enforcement in the United States are developed and tested first as part of the control and oppression of Palestinians in their own land. United States police often train alongside and receive training from the Israeli Defense Forces, and I think that is something that you should all consider when you consider increasing funding to police in our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
Hi, I'm Ed Flaherty with Veterans for Peace, Chapter 161. Our chapter did endorse the proposed resolution. I think a sense of urgency is necessary. Why? Because the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank are being killed at an alarming rate, over 22,000 killed. Over 85% of Gazans are displaced from their homes. Food, fresh water, medical supplies, and hospitals are scarce, and related deaths may soon outpace those who are outrightly killed. And third reason is the longer this conflict goes on, the greater the chaos, the greater the possibility of the conflict expanding beyond Palestine and Israel. Just over the weekend, Arif Hussein, who's the chief economist of the UN's World Food Program, said, I've been to pretty much any conflict, whether Yemen, South Sudan, Northeast Nigeria, Ethiopia, you name it. And I have never seen anything like this, both in terms of its scale, its magnitude, but also at the pace that this has unfolded. A reminder, of course, that Israel has nuclear weapons. A reminder about Jimmy Carter's book, 2006, Palestine, Peace, Not Apartheid. I wondered about the term Nakba. Do high school graduates or University of Iowa graduates know what that means? I hear the phrase, there are no innocents in Gaza. 50% of Gazans are under the age 18. Pope Francis on Christmas deplored the appalling harvest of innocent civilians. Targeting of innocent civilians is illegal and immoral regardless of who, when, why, and where. Now, the Biden administration does seek fewer civilian deaths, wants more humanitarian aid, decries indiscriminate airstrikes, and rules out Israeli control of post-war Gaza. It knows what the right things are, but it must be pressured to do the right things. Now, time is short for Gaza. Time is short for the United States. Most of us in this room have been described as vermin. We have little time.
Thank you. Welcome. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
My name is Jason Weeks. I come from Iowa City. Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and my fellow citizens, and on behalf of Iowans for Palestine, I rise in strong support of this resolution before the Council for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza. I note that I think that the text is acceptable as it is, and we can't afford quibbles about language in the face of this terrible emergency. To many Americans, the war in Gaza seems distant and not very relevant to their lives. But here in this town, we know that this is not true, and we are in a position to communicate a credible sense of alarm to other Americans. And we must do so, because we are all in very great danger, and the danger will grow over time. Our government has foolishly signed on to an open-ended commitment to Israel to pursue what experts say is an unrealistic objective, the complete elimination of its enemy. Israel says the war will last many more months, but we have already seen the gates of hell open wide. Gaza has been decimated and the people are starving. Much of the world is furious with Israel and with us. They see the bloody corpses of children being pulled from under the rubble every day. We in America need to pull back before it's too late. We in our city cannot look away because we are an international city. People come here from all over the world, and people from here visit every part of the planet. Every American who travels abroad today falls under a State Department travel advisory because of this war. The risk of a dangerous escalation of the war and blowback rises every day. America is isolated today. The longer this horrible war goes on, the deeper the tragedy will be for Palestine and the greater the danger for us Americans. Most Americans may not see this yet, but we in this city are in a position to see it, sound the alarm, and join others all around the country to pressure our government to change course. Please support this resolution as is, and vindicate our good name as Americans in the face of the horrors being done in our name. Thank you.
Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
My name is Paul Street. I'm from Iowa City. I am an historian, an author, a socialist, and a member of the editorial board of the national organization Refuse Fascism. Speaking of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., I urge the Iowa City Council to pass this resolution calling for a permanent U.S.-Israel ceasefire in Palestine and for an immediate end to the ongoing U.S.-Israel crucifixion of Gaza. The racist occupation, apartheid, and terror state of Israel has for 3 months now conducted a genocidal war of ethnic cleansing in Gaza. It is a war that top global humanitarian leaders call the most catastrophic attack on civilians they have ever seen. And Israel has done this with U.S. funding, U.S. weapons, U.S. protection under a president who peace activists have justifiably nicknamed Genocide Joe. Israel has in Gaza killed more children in 3 months than all the children killed in all the conflict zones in the world in the last 3 years. Now, opposing this U.S.-backed war does not make one anti-Semitic or anti-Israel. It just makes one human. No decent person can stay silent while thousands upon thousands of children are murdered, maimed, sickened, and starved in this 21st century Holocaust. It's taking place right in front of us. You can see it in the mainstream media. Small children being pulled from piles of smoking rubble. Never again was supposed to mean never again for anyone. Now, we know the City Council does not make U.S. foreign policy, of course. Still, it helps the peace cause when local U.S. governments go on record opposing crimes against humanity that are being carried out with U.S. funding, U.S. arms, and U.S. protection. And at the same time, we should bear in mind that billions of dollars the U.S. sends to Israel to commit its unspeakable crimes can't be spent to alleviate poverty, educate children, house people, overcome inequality, and support local governments here and across the country. And we should bear in mind that Iowa City is home to a significant number of Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim people who deserve to hear that their local officials care about the fate of family and loved ones in Palestine, the Middle East, and Southwest Asia, and that Iowa City is home to a long-standing peace and justice tradition upheld by citizens for whom silence in the face of racist and genocidal violence is complicity in that criminality. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would urge you to support this resolution.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
I'm Perry Lenz, and I'm from Iowa City. I just want to make a few points. I urge the council to support this resolution as it is for permanent ceasefire. And anyway, one point I want to make is Iowa City is an overwhelmingly Democratic city. There's polls that show, I think maybe I might not have the numbers right, something like 67% of Democrats support a ceasefire. This is something I'm sure most of the constituents of Iowa City want. Look at that group of organizations that's endorsing this ceasefire resolution. There's many groups that probably support this resolution that aren't on that list. This is something that the City Council needs to consider. Another thing that hasn't been brought up is, I don't know if people are aware, I think there was something like 21,000 civilians have been killed by Israel forces compared to like a little over 2,000 that was killed by Hamas. So when people try to make that comparison by Hamas and Israel, there's just no comparison. Israel has oppressed the Palestinian nation since the founding of Israel. And so, like I said, I urge the City Council to approve this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Council. My name is Sammy Sheets. I'm a state representative representing Cedar Rapids in the Iowa legislature. In 2022, I was the first Arab American elected to serve in the Iowa legislature in our state's history. I'm deeply proud of my heritage, as I am a proud citizen of this state, which has given so much to families like my own. In the first week of January, the word resolution is thrown around a lot. It's used to mark an occasion, a choice we make about our own behavior. Some of us resolve to be better partners to our loved ones, better parents, better citizens. But the word resolution has another meaning, one less often used. Being firm in your convictions, we must remember, makes one resolute. And that's how I feel about the actions before the City Council of Iowa City tonight. Since October 7th, when Hamas killed more than 1,200 Israelis in a brutal attack, I have condemned all violence against the Israeli people and the Palestinian people, as well as anti-Semitism and anti-Arab rhetoric and violence. At the same time, there is no reason to believe that more violence in Gaza will lead to an end to a conflict which has raged in that region for more than half a century. Since October 7th, more than 22,000 people have been killed in the Gaza Strip. 2 million people have been displaced. 70% of the residential units in Gaza have been destroyed or damaged. This is not justice that will lead to a lasting peace. This is chaos. It has become clear that there is no military solution that will bring stability to Gaza. That's why I urge the City Council of Iowa City to join the growing calls for a ceasefire and to urge President Biden and his administration to apply all pressure at its disposal to end the bloodshed. This is not a radical idea. Virtually all UN agencies and aid groups have called for a ceasefire. 90% of countries across the world, including neighbors and allies like Canada and Mexico, have joined together to call for a ceasefire to end the violence. This resolution, if passed here tonight, will not change the outcome of the conflict in Gaza on its own. But each voice matters, and our collective conscience must be weighed against our desire for comfort. And when history is written about our time here, it should be shown that we stood for peace, justice, and nonviolence. I urge the City Council to adopt this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and city you're from.
My name is Nouman Abu Isa. I want to thank the mayor specifically, who has been working with us groups supporting this resolution hand in hand, and Representative or Mayor Pro Tem as well, Saleh, for working with us on this resolution. And we have really organized this presentation to the council today, asking only groups to be represented, because we know that dozens more of us would like to talk, but we want to limit the number of people who are talking today. And we appreciate you listening to us today. I just want to say that on daily basis, we have about 300 people killed, while we have a meeting here today for the last 2 hours. We have more than 24 people killed. So about 1/3 of them are children. Just that is today, and that is just these hours. I want to, I guess, on daily basis, Israel is bombing 1,000 bombs for the last 87 days. And those 1,000 bombs are hitting buildings, infrastructure, You are talking about building infrastructures here. They are hitting places of worship. I just want to bring a place close to my heart is they bombed St. Porphyrius Orthodox Church, which was built in 1150. And they are doing indiscriminate bombing. That church was holding refuge for 450 people at the time. And 18 people were killed, and dozens more were injured in that one bomb. And that 1150, 12th century church has been damaged. And that shows the indiscriminate bombing of Israel. They killed their own hostages because they are killing everything which moves. So they are not discriminating between children or anybody else. They are killing everybody they see in front of them. And when I say that this is a first step for this kind for the resolution, because Israel and Palestine conflict has been going on for decades, 75 years, and some people throw around a few solutions: two-state solution, one-state solution, ethnic cleansing, and that's two of the ministers in Israel are saying outright, kill them all. Get them out of this area. They want to ethnically cleanse those. And the last option is apartheid, and that's what's been going on, and that's what we need to be concentrating on even after this conflict. This apartheid will not end without American support. That's what happened in South Africa, and that's what needs to happen in Palestine, Israel for the future. I appreciate your time, and I urge you to support this resolution. It's very important. I am proud to be Iowa Citians, and I know that Iowa City will be a leading city in Iowa and around the nation in approving this resolution. Thank you.
Please state your name and city you're from. I'm not sure if I heard that. Oh, he did. Okay, great. Please welcome.
Hi, David Sterling from Iowa City. Give me just one sec here. I was asked to help make this full screen, and hey, I figured it out. So I had some prepared remarks, but a million people spoke before me on this, and they all said it more eloquently. So I'm just going to try to speak off the cuff for a bit on my personal experience with this matter. When I was 7, my father, who is not Jewish, took me to the Chicago Holocaust Museum to see what had happened to my people on my mother's side of the family. Ever since the attacks in October and the Israeli response, I've kind of been trapped in the moment of walking through the simulations of checkpoints, train cars, factories. Ethnic cleansing and genocide are words that we've heard, my generation has heard our entire lives as matters of history. But in the last 10 years, we've grown increasingly aware that these are matters carried out domestically as well. I don't mean to distract from the issue at hand, which is the genocide in Gaza, but I would also like to raise that Iowa City is, in fact, participating in a form of ethnic cleansing in terms of how it treats its immigrant population. Whenever an immigrant person in this town is unable to meet rent and they are evicted by the Iowa City Police, that is a form of ethnic cleansing. In Iowa City, we do not have any immigrant detention camps, but across the U.S. we do. And in those camps, we have had official word discoveries that people are being forced to have hysterectomies, to be sterilized by the U.S. government. This is an issue that is domestic. This is an issue closer to us. If we can find in our hearts the capacity to be compassionate and act for people who are across the world, as we rightly should, I ask that we also consider the possibility of a resolution condemning the U.S. government's sterilization and genocide against immigrant populations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and city you're from.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Scheer. I'm a resident of Iowa City. I am here speaking as an individual tonight, but I want to share that there is a large and growing chorus of labor union organizations across the country calling for a ceasefire in language that is very consistent with the resolution before you tonight, and I'm here to urge you to adopt the resolution that's before you. There are dozens of national regional and local organizations already signed on to a labor movement call for ceasefire in Israel and Palestine. And I am one of thousands of also rank and file union members who've also signed that statement. I just wanted to share a couple of excerpts from it to give you a flavor of that text. It reads, "We, the members of the American labor movement, mourn the loss of life in Israel and Palestine. We express our solidarity with all workers and our common desire for peace in Palestine and Israel. And we call on our president and Congress to push for an immediate ceasefire and end to the siege of Gaza. We cannot bomb our way to peace. We also condemn any hate crimes against Muslims, Jews, or anyone else." There are 4 core calls in the the ceasefire statement. They include restoring the basic rights of people to water, fuel, food, and other humanitarian aid. The second focuses on call for the Israeli hostages taken by Hamas to be immediately released. The third focuses on a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire, just as the resolution you're considering tonight, and calling for the U.S. to act and for our president to immediately call for a ceasefire, which we know would have incredible power. The statement also acknowledges that, like residents of our community here, union members around the country come from diverse backgrounds, including Jews, Muslims, and Middle Eastern communities. The rising escalation of war and arms sales does not serve the interests of workers anywhere. And in the end, we all want a place to call home and for our children to be safe. Working people around the world want and deserve to live free from the effects of violence, war, and militarization. And the statement goes on with a couple of other paragraphs, but I think that gives you a sense of how consistent those sentiments are with the resolution you're considering tonight. So thank you for the opportunity to be here and for your support of the resolution.
Thank you. And we will hear from our final speaker at this time. Welcome.
I'm Frank Solomon of Iowa City, a relative by marriage of people in one of the kibbutzim, or communal villages, that were attacked on the 7th of October. And so I want us to speak with our whole hearts and with all our prudence today. I'm distressed when I hear people say that we are going to send a message which then includes inflammatory and dubious and even perhaps intemperate words. I'm proud that we are working with a carefully worded resolution. Its message is exactly what it says. While we are each grieving for the peoples that we love, let us also do our best to earn the honor of being known as people who say what they mean and mean what they say. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks to all the speakers that have spoke on this matter. We're going to switch over to council discussion at this time.
So I've had a number of conversations with folks about some requested changes to the resolution, as well as some of them were previously mentioned here before us today. So I'd like to bring those up just kind of informally, and if we can get approval. There's not that many. They're not substantial, really, in any way. But we'd just kind of like to go through those and see if we have support. Also, just run through like the justifications. That would be cool. So the first one is to the list of what we resolve. Number 9 just strikes the period at the end of the sentence and adds "and the President of the United States." I think it makes sense to send this to like the chief international state policymaker for the United States. So in addition to sending it to the members of the state legislature, the governor's office, and Congress, we would also send it to the President of the United States. How do people feel about that? Yeah? So I think we'll go with, do we have to formally motion that, or should I do this as like a block?
Well, it depends on what the council would like to do here. If
Yeah.
you want to make a motion on the floor, you can do a motion to amend. I'm not sure how many you have, or...
Just a handful.
Okay. Well, it's up to the presiding officer to address that and handle that.
I think because we want to hear from all of the counselors that want to speak on this matter, maybe if you just made your suggestions and then we'll talk through any of those.
Sounds good. So first, the president one. The other one was specific to line 9, if we're just counting text. Whereas hundreds of thousands of lives are at imminent risk, that particular section. Just changing or striking the and people and replacing that with non-combatants, or civilian non-combatants. And then as well as replacing captives with hostages. When we're talking about Israeli captives, both in the top line and in the body. And then adding release of hostages to number 5, as was requested. I think it's reasonable. I think all of them are reasonable and don't substantially change the message of the resolution or what we intend to communicate. And I do tend to agree that though quibbling over language is frustrating, I think that it's important that we be specific here.
I agree with Councilor Dunn that quibbling over language is it's not quibbling. I think it's important that we get it right. And just as a sort of moment of humility, I knew when getting into City Council we'd be faced with very complicated questions. And when we came against those complicated questions, we have a remarkable staff at the city full of experts who can help advise us. This one, I learned about it like the rest of council before the holiday weekend when our city staff wasn't here, and also when we don't have a foreign policy expert on staff. And so I am deeply disgusted by the amount of violence in the Middle East. I just want to make sure we get this right. And I understand and hear the opinions of people who spoke today about being quick and being thoughtful. But I also want to make sure we get it right. And I'm not completely certain that going through making edits here is the right way to do this. However, I would love to hear from everyone else if there are a minimal amount of changes or a way that we can feel like we have even more expert input on the crafting of this message, or maybe more time for the community, because our late packets included messages from people because they just didn't see it. And I don't also know if the entire community has had an opportunity to weigh in. But I do want to reiterate that I'm horrified by the violence, and insofar that we can signal that this is a welcoming community that loves people and that we decree Islamophobia, anti-Arab sentiment, and anti-Semitism here in Iowa City, we should absolutely do that. For the foreign policy points of here, I just am taking a moment of pause to see what other people have to say.
Thank you both for your opening up this conversation. I was very struck, as I'm sure everyone in this room was, by the resolutions that started our meeting. And I was very struck by, in fact, I know one of the speakers, Mr. Sheets, had even talked about each voice matters. And I applaud the efforts that were done with a sense of urgency, having to work around the holidays where there were people who were not available, having to work through our open meeting laws, which meant that we could not have a quorum of counselors. So for many of us actually reading through the resolution, yes, we found out about it in advance, that it was going to be going forward. But in terms of having any substantive input, that has not been possible. What I find more significant, though, is that in our resolutions to kick off the meeting, it was about Iowa City being a place where everyone belongs, and that this is how we want to live our values. This is how we want to embody our values. And each voice does matter. I don't know that we have heard the whole community. And I would like us to have a pause so that we can hear from additional people who, in conversations with me, have said they do not feel comfortable, or in finding out who was invited to these meetings either wasn't able to participate because of the holiday schedule, or in fact felt uncomfortable doing so. And I think that that's important. We have heard a plethora of voices, and I am like Councillor Moe, a full-throated resolution deploring the violence and the senseless killing. Absolutely. For myself, a part of this has, there's two resolutions in here. I feel that there's as much of a strong humanitarian pronouncement in here. There is also an advocacy statement. And I don't know that the entire community is 100% behind this. There is a strong outcry, absolutely. But I have not heard from others in the community who are also impacted by this.
It is a challenge for the first meeting of the year to be on a topic that I think none of us thought that we might be facing, for our Iowa City Council. I read the text of the resolution after having had a number of conversations about it, and I will say I was incredibly pleased with how careful and non-inflammatory and thoughtful it was, having understood the process that it went through to reach that point, and knowing that we will never hear from 100% of the community, and we will never have 100% of the community in agreement. And so our challenge as elected leaders of this community is to decide when to draw those lines, because we know we can't get it perfect, unfortunately. And so I was fine with the resolution as it was presented to us today. I also agree with Councillor Dunn's proposed amendments. I agree that they don't change the substance or the intent of the resolution, but that they include important nods relating to specific words that have significant meaning to some members of our community. And so I would be in favor of those changes that you indicated. But I think that this is such a difficult and nuanced topic that if we take more time, we will continue to get mired in those details. And I greatly appreciate the sense of urgency and the opportunity we have here.
I am going to respectfully ask that anyone in the audience please remain silent during council deliberations. Thank you.
So while I think the idea that we haven't yet, we can't get 100% of the community, I think that's self-evident and true. I do think one of my concerns with this is the fact that it, has come since the last meeting on December 12th, that there hasn't been time for people who are stakeholders in this to both know about it and respond to it, especially because it did come over the holidays. So I think I have heard from some people who did discover it. And, I think we heard from at least one gentleman tonight who indicated this, that there is a concern that in doing what, much of this, by the way, I think it's great, the stuff about our principles and so on. But one of my concerns is it right for me to say this is fine, it's not offensive, it's not anti-Semitic, it's not whatever else, as somebody who's not Jewish, any more than I would say, well, this is fine, it's not anti-Arab or it's not anti-Muslim, without at least giving people from the stakeholder groups a chance to know this exists, to read through it, and to offer some sort of input and feedback. What I don't want to do is accidentally, in trying to address one global injustice, accidentally commit a different injustice on our local community, members of our local community. And that is something that I think we are at risk of doing. And that's fine. I just think it deserves the care and the time, especially because it's not like we're talking about the ability to shut off the things that are happening. My concern is many concerns, but one of them has to be the different parts of our community and make sure that members of our community do have a chance to chime in, do have a chance to be included. And I think this has been a fantastic start to this process. I had the wonderful opportunity to sit in on one of the last meetings on Thursday before this came out. And I was very impressed by the people that have been working on this. And so I in no way want to belittle the work that's been done or say that this is wholesale wrong or anything like that. But I still don't think that this is something that we should, even if we pause for another meeting, if we put this on a work session, I don't know that I feel comfortable without having that full consideration and giving our members of our community, some of whom I have heard from and who this will do some harm to some members of our community, and not members of the Israeli government, but members of our community. And I think that is something we should consider, and we should understand that we don't want to be doing harm to any members of our community, including the people here tonight, the people that aren't here tonight, and I think giving people time to at least have some input, especially to speak on behalf of this entire community.
I just want to say that thank you for the people who have been brave and come here and talk about this. I know how really difficult this topic. I know many Palestine people who are not even able to come to talk about it because this has really hurt them. What happening in Zaya is not an easy thing. And let me tell you a little bit about how we come up with this resolution, because the public need to know that. So, following the governor order of lowering the flag, and encouraging municipality to do so, many people reach out to me, and they said that we don't like this. We don't want to be like why cities or municipality side with some people. And they want to come here to the city council and talk about this as well. They want to go to the school board and talk about this as well. But I just said, you know what? Let us come up with interface messaging that will do good instead of coming and talking about what the governor asked and create division in this community. We don't want to create a division. If we can talk, I know Councilor Hampton just talk about how we need to have injustice. Justice not divided. And if the city lowered the flag for Israel people to honor that, the governor request, this resolution is nothing. I got very hurt when I found out our own city lowered the flag. The governor was asking to encourage the people, the municipality to do. Even though maybe the city council who are sitting here in this chamber is not the one who ordered the flag to be low for Iowa City, but we should be held accountable about any action the staff will do.
Again, I'm going to respectfully ask everybody to be silent.
Yes, please.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm thinking when we come, the residents of Iowa City submit a resolution that's really strong and bold. And Seattle City also, they submit the Seattle City resolution, which is also strong. I really like it. But, we come up with something even very light to compare those two, like to compare it by those two. Because we don't want to feel like we're siding with nobody. I understand there is Jewish in this community, and I understand there is Christian Palestine here. I understand there is Muslim Palestine here. And the last thing I want to do to be side with someone, even though as a city we did. But instead of talking about this and creating more division in the community, that's why we come with this resolution. We said we need something that focuses on ceasefire because we don't like killing from both sides. And this is, like talking about few wording that changing, even though I agree with Council Dunn about changing of those words, there is no problem. But not changing the whole thing and listening from the community. I appreciate the people who come last time and come now, and the people who send us emails, and I know that from Jewish people that who participate on this resolution, on creating this resolution, they said that there is many people in the community know about this. Why we did not hear from them? I appreciate also the person who talked earlier here. Thank you for coming and talk about it. And I really I was waiting to see the people. I just hear from the people that there is some people against this. Come here, tell us why. And also I hear that maybe they are afraid they be targeted. Targeted by who? That by itself is not acceptable. Is that means they're going to be targeted by the other group who are here? I really I don't want to talk too much on this, so I can give as a council member to do this. But I really urge the council to vote, for this resolution with consideration of Andrew Dunn change. Thank you.
I appreciate all the my colleagues' comments at this point, and of course, I really appreciate the comments from the public tonight. And for those that aren't here as well, that have spoke on this, I still have a lot of joy at the process that was taken with folks from different communities creating this document that's before us tonight. Granted, I will be the first to say that I know that nothing that we create, and this was something we identified, nothing we create will be 100% perfect or without offending someone. But the work and the intentionality that went into this document, I have to tell you, I was very impressed at all of the conversations that went forth, to the point where where the group wanted to make sure that as the document read, one name isn't first all the time. To the point where we went through and said Palestine, Israeli, Palestine, making sure that when there was something mentioned about one of the communities, the other one was also mentioned. It was very intentional to not take sides. Now, there are some things in here, arguably, that gives facts, numbers, that doesn't feel good, that doesn't, yes, it can be taken as a political statement. And I recognize it. I don't dispute it. But at this point, I think no matter if we, go back and do something else, we're going to have the same conversation, no matter how this document is reconstructed But I will say, because of the intentionality that went into this document and people really did not want to do harm. Now, are there some folks that, wanted some stronger language? And yeah, absolutely. But I think the group, took steps back when someone said, like, I understand, the intent, but this reads, by some, they can read it this way. And so I'm comfortable with this document, with the changes that have been proposed by Councilor Dunn. And again, to anyone that is out there that may be offended by any words in this document, what I will say is the intent of Iowa City speaking our concern and our humanitarian position. That is what we wanted to get at. And I'm sorry if there's a word or something that we may not change right now if this should get passed. That is offensive. That is not what we want to do. We really want to not take sides and to really come from a humanitarian point of view to say that killing of any type needs to end is not right. I don't care if it's someone in their 90s or a baby. It's not right. And so I will be supporting this with the changes that has been suggested by Councilor Dunn.
Mayor, if I could just to a couple of words for my colleagues who are considering taking more time for additional process. As someone who cares very, very much about process, I do see this as the result of a very careful, very intentional process in which, yes, it was over a difficult period in the year and, a relatively short amount of time, but certainly I had been receiving comments from the public well before our December 12th meeting, and I think we've been aware of this issue for months before then as well. So I do think that we know that taking more time serves the status quo. And if what we wish to do is push against that, let's embrace the urgency.
Should we go through the amendments?
That would be great. I think I have most of them, but there were a couple that I was a little confused about. So if you want to go through them again, that'd be very helpful.
Go through the whole thing. Starting with the title, replacing captives with hostages on the left. Then with the 1, 2, 3, third block, whereas hundreds of thousands, end of that, strike people, strike and replace it with non-combatants, comma, and, or civilian non-combatants, comma, and.
Can you just read what that sentence would say?
The sentence would say, whereas hundreds of thousands of lives are at imminent risk without an immediate permanent ceasefire, restoration of basic necessities, and delivery of adequate and unconditional humanitarian aid without delay to Palestinian civilian non-combatants and. Then the next block, whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Just strike captives after Palestinians.
Just strike it or?
Just strike.
Okay.
Palestinians, add the S, the plural, and then strike captives.
And so it should be Israelis with plural.
Oh, yes, correct. Yep. So the whole thing would read, whereas more than 100 Israelis are held by Hamas and more than 7,000 Palestinians are held without due process under Israeli martial law, and. Then moving on to the next page. Whenever you're ready.
Yes.
Number 5, the City of Iowa City asks our congressional delegation to support all resolutions and legislation that match the values stated throughout this Iowa City resolution, especially those that aim to alleviate the urgent humanitarian disaster in Gaza and in the release of Israeli hostages, such as House Resolution number 786. And then 2 final edits, 1 to 7, replace or just add non-combatant people of Gaza. And the very bottom, so it'll say the City of Iowa City supports the delivery of immediate, unconditional, and sufficient humanitarian aid to the non-combatant people of Gaza. And then the final amendment is to 9, which just strikes the period at the end of the sentence and adds, and the President of the United States. So the whole thing will read, the City of Iowa City resolves that the Iowa City Clerk's Office will provide a copy of this resolution to the members of the Iowa State Legislature, the Iowa State Governor, strikes and there too, the United States congressional delegations from Iowa, and the President of the United States.
Okay.
That's it. So I would move the amendment as a block.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Just a clarification. So you're suggesting in the whereas more than 100 Israelis instead of Israeli hostages? You're keeping the hostage.
Israeli hostages. That's supposed to be there.
It's supposed to be Israeli
That's supposed to be
hostages.
hostages. Yeah, I have that noted here. So Israeli hostages and then Palestinians.
Okay, that's what I thought you'd originally said the first time.
Thank you for catching that. Yeah, that's so that line should, just to double clarify, whereas more than 100 Israeli hostages are held by Hamas and more than 7,000 Palestinians are held without due process under Israeli martial law. And that's what that should be. Thank you for catching that.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Dunn?
Yes.
Harmson?
Yes.
Moe?
Yes.
Sella?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yes.
Burgess?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Wait.
Amendment.
That was the motion to amend.
That was right.
The amendments.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was for the amendments.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So we're going to come back to the discussion with council. Okay. Further discussion?
Just going to say once again that I want to thank all of the people that have come forward and echo what Councilor Celia said, have come forward, shared their impactful stories, that have donated their time and efforts and energy into drafting what we have so far. I still think that what we have so far is close but not there yet, and I think it could be better and needs to be better from our city because our city does have people who are hurting, who are Israeli, who are Jewish, who are Muslim, who are Palestinian. I mean, all of these people are hurting. I don't know how somebody could boo the fact that people are hurting and that this is trauma that our people that are our neighbors and friends are feeling. I still think we can do better by giving a little more time for input. And so I will be voting no on this for that reason.
I just want to thank Councilor Harmson for being really direct, and I realize I'm not serving myself well in this room, but I am deeply committed to representing as best as possible a consensus of all of Iowa City. And I go along with Councilor Harmson that this is close, and I also respect how carefully it has been done and how thoughtful, and I have heard from multiple councilors how immensely collaborative and thoughtful and sensitive this process was, and the people who were in it and helped craft this. And I think that without it becoming this large, bureaucratic, endless back and forth thing, I do think that we need some input from some people who did not give input for one reason or another.
They were here.
No, not everyone was. Not some stakeholders. I would like them to have one opportunity to weigh in.
Wait a month. We're going to keep coming back. There was 4 Jewish people.
I'm going to ask Councilor Alter to continue to speak to your colleagues up here.
I am done. I just wanted to speak to my colleagues to say we are close. I am not satisfied just yet because I feel that there needs to be one more opportunity for Jewish people in this community to be able to respond. I have multiple conversations with people saying, this is exactly why we are not saying anything. It is a data point to have people not respond. And in an honesty, to have a lot of very dismissive faces, I would far rather take that dismissiveness than the people who are in the community. But I do not feel right about signing on for and to approve a resolution where right now there are people who are hurting, who do feel that they are being dismissed and would like the opportunity to be able to say something, but are afraid to. So we are close. I don't see this as endless. I do understand the sense of urgency, but I also think it's important for as much as possible. Yeah, I've read that.
Again, I just want to say something to thank you for all the Jews that is here outside and the people are here. I see some people here, and some people were there with us when we come up with this resolution. I see some people are not even here who were there during coming up with this solution. And again, to my brother and sister who are Jewish who are not here. We just don't like killing in general, whether you kill Israel people or Palestine. This is what our intention on this resolution. As the mayor stated earlier, we are not going to be perfect. If we done something here and there, we don't mean anything. We don't want to we don't mean picking up a side, but there is number there, yes. But that's the fact. We get it it's not like we made up that number, but that was a fact. Yeah, even though we cannot put all the fact in a piece of paper of resolution, but this is what we can do right now. But by any means, we are not picking any side because killing is not okay. And again, thank you to everyone who come here. We're not going to make everyone happy. Sometimes people get mad, sometimes, but we need to do the best. And I ensure that if we put this for vote for the city of Iowa City, after I see all the people who endorse this resolution and endorse the messaging by the interface group, I bet the people will support the ceasefire. Thank you.
I was moved before the amendments, Councilor, when you were describing the hurt that lowering the flag cost. I didn't know that. I didn't know that until you told me that. And the reason that I think Councilor Harmsen and Councilor Alter and I are having pause is we don't want to cause that hurt for another group in our community. And so I think that waiting another council cycle and having an opportunity to reduce that harm, I think is wise.
Coward.
And I think that there are, the president of the synagogue came and offered amendments that Councilor Dunn, I appreciate you taking notes and writing those in. When he spoke, and I realized that were that synagogue involved in the crafting of this? I don't.
The members, some
members.
Of them.
Okay.
Yes, board
Okay.
members.
Okay.
2 board members involved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I appreciate what you said about we as a city by lowering the flag hurt people. I don't want to do a tit for tat. Then by doing something that would by doing something that would harm people, the Jewish community.
Yeah, speaking about synagogue, one of the group, like we create a committee, and one of the committee reach out to the synagogue, and they know about it. And there is some people from them, they was working with us in the, on creating this resolution. So they notified, they knew about it.
I think we're really kidding ourselves if we think that inaction will not cause harm.
And I really was thinking about the harm that we're gonna cause, but I guess by putting some fact, if we did not put it here, it is over there at the internet. So.
Any other comments? Roll call, please.
So this is on the amended resolution. Harmson.
No.
Mo.
No.
Saleh.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Alter.
No.
Burgess.
Yes.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-3. Could I get a motion to to accept correspondence?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Saleh. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
This is hard. Everyone's doing the right thing. You just get it different places sometimes.
Indeed.
Just going to wait for council chambers to clear out a little bit.
1,000 signatures, right?
Start.
I'm telling you nothing but the truth. They interviewed me because of
Okay. We're going to move on to item number 11D, Charter Review Commission establishment. This is a resolution establishing Charter Review Committee. Can I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Harmson, seconded by Dunn. And we are, oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I'm sorry.
Needed to move something in this meeting. So.
Sorry.
My voice.
Moved by Mose, seconded by Dunn. All right, and we're going to ask our city attorney, Eric Goetz, to
Thank you,
kind of
Mayor.
lead us in this discussion.
Thank you. So as the council is aware, every 10 years, a charter review commission needs to be formed. It is at least 9 members. Historically, the council has appointed 9 members, and you can appoint the chair, which is different than how it works in most of the board or commissions that you folks select. But the point is, the commission goes through the entire charter for the city of Iowa City and makes recommendations for changes at the end, no later than April 1st of 2025. And then council has two choices. Council can either adopt those changes, or if council does not wish to adopt any one of the changes, then it needs to go to a vote by the citizenry of Iowa City. So in that fashion, it's a little different than a lot of the boards or commissions you have, which are typically either quasi-judicial or advisory.
We're still in the fucking meeting.
And so it's a little structured a little differently. Anyway, that's a summary of the Charter Review Commission. I'd be happy to answer any questions council members may have.
The appointment period that people use the regular online city portal to apply.
Yes.
Obviously, we should be encouraging everyone that we think would be a great applicant to apply to that.
You should.
In the selection process, where we select the people from that group, does that just happen in a regular meeting, or is there a multiple day work session to pick that group?
A fair question, because the appointment of this commission, I dare say, is, well, I hate to offend. It's a big deal. You phrased it better than I was about to. It's a really big deal. I mean, the charter is essentially the constitution of our city.
Right.
And so imagine a constitutional convention for the United States. I mean, it's kind of that. And so, yes, it's an extremely important commission, and members of the council should consider those appointments very seriously. And as you've said, Councilor Moe, should encourage folks who you think would be good to serve to apply. In answer to your last part of your question, it is the normal process. The appointments will come at one of your regular council meetings. When you're appointing members of other boards and commissions, you will also appoint members of this commission.
And the application, does it have special questions geared towards this very important task, or is it the same similar application that we have for?
It is the same unless there's a motion to amend. I'm sorry, I'm Kelly's.
Same.
Yeah. Unless council moves to amend that or add a clause to the resolution presently before you, certainly we can do something different if you want. But otherwise, normally, I would imagine with an appointment of this importance, that maybe council members would be, again, recruiting folks to begin with, one, and two, maybe contacting the folks who are applying to ask them their own questions, interviewing to see, what qualifies them to serve on a commission such as this, and how you think individually they would do.
And people who've served in the past, it seems like many have served multiple terms. There's no rules on who can serve.
Correct. There are no rules about that. We can certainly provide council the names of the folks who have served previously. The chair last time was a gentleman by the name of Andy Chappell. He's now a district court judge and has told me that he will not be serving because he's a district court judge. So he will not be available. But
those names are included in the packet.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
And can you tell me how diverse was that committee?
Not without looking at it. I would have to look through the names myself to know.
Kind of tied into that, is there a gender balance? Does that apply to this commission as well?
It does. The state law that speaks to that does apply. So you would have to have if you go with 9 members, no more than 5 of any one gender.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
At least that's I should back up. I think the state law may not require that because this is not a board or commission that is required by state law, but our office has long offered the opinion that kind of good for the goose, good for the gander, we should do it across the board, and council has adopted that as its longstanding principle.
So
that makes sense.
Question. So that says the Charter Review Commission shall consist of at least 9 members. So that kind of just makes it up to us when we get those applications, pretty much, to set the number of members?
That's, well, at least 9, yes. And in theory, you could have 23. I'm here to tell you that would not be a very workable commission.
What?
Yes, I would not recommend that. But yes, if you wanted to do more, you technically could do so.
Sure.
And it's a 1-year term, and then what comes out of it are either we have to vote on or give to the voters.
You either have to approve or give to the voters, yes.
It's like ad hoc commission.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of,
But
right?
with a lot more like.
It seems like lawyers are typically a good fit for this role because it is a legal task. However, if we want non-lawyers to participate also, is your or a city's legal staff ultimately responsible that everything that is recommended is perfectly legal?
Well, Kelly and I will be staffing it, so we will be present.
Okay.
Lawyers are good for all jobs.
Did you need to recuse yourself from that statement, man?
I was over here whispering, not more lawyers, Counselor, just in case you were wondering.
Yeah. I think, do you think like really we need to ask certain question in the application or just like leave it like that?
What'd you say?
Like doing like a specific question to be added to the normal application?
At the very least,
I'm sorry.
Sorry. At the very least, I was going to say, what do you, and I think we do have, like, what do you know about this commission? It might well be a good thing to, there is a blurb as those come up so that people know what they're applying for, correct?
Or whether they have similar experience, kind of.
So I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to jump in because I have it open in front of me.
I'm sorry.
So the two current questions, no, I think this is great to talk about. Do we want to have any more specific questions? But the two questions that are there that I think really will give us the information we're looking for is experience and or activities which you feel qualify you for this position. And then the other is what is your present knowledge of each advisory board you're interested in. So they have to speak to their experience that they believe qualifies them as well as their knowledge. And
I
I
think that's right.
agree with the city attorney that I think this is one, given its importance, that we hopefully are reaching out to people and engaging them on it.
And the remainder questions are the same as the other applications. We haven't been forced by the state to remove any identifying questions. Okay.
Not yet.
But those are all, well, the demographic ones are always optional, correct?
Oh, yes, other than gender.
Right.
Yeah.
I just believe that since, this is really important, commissions, we just need to reflect everyone, like voice and background on this. So I encourage the council to reach out to people that they know can be good at. And we would like, I want to see some diversity on that council. So because, as you said, this is, something that we need to reflect the
community.
The community.
Yes. Agreed.
Any other questions for Eric?
Oh, I did have one curiosity question. This is not a statement of interest, but are counselors allowed to be on it? It's not, I'm really being clear.
It would be interesting. No.
It would be interesting.
No.
What about electeds who are lawyers?
Elected to a what, sorry?
All right.
Yeah, no.
Any other questions for our?
You actually have one qualification question based on your joke. Other elected officials seems like wouldn't be a great idea, but not actually prohibited.
I have to look at our rules. I have it in the back reaches of my mind that other electeds could not serve on any board or commission, but I may be mistaken about that. I'll be sure to follow up on that to give you an answer.
As a follow-up to that, what
have
about somebody
before.
who's currently serving on one of our commissions? Like, let's say they're on one of our city commissions.
Another rule, unless it explicitly says that it's okay to double up, they're not allowed to double up. I think maybe
It
the
says
TRC,
they're
for
allowed to
example.
double up.
Sorry?
They're allowed to double up.
In
For this one?
This one? Oh,
Just so people know if they're
Yeah.
considering
don't
it, so
wanna
they know what
encourage
they know what the
somebody-
rules are.
yeah.
Yeah. Good. Come on, yeah.
All right. Anyone from the public like to address this topic?
Yeah.
If you're online, please raise your hand. If you're in person, please come up. Seeing no one in person or online, council discussion.
I'm excited about this.
I am very excited.
I think it's going to be great to look through this or have a commission do that.
Roll call, please.
Harmson?
Yes.
Mo?
Yes.
Sele?
Yes.
Oh.
Teague?
Yes.
Alter?
Yep.
Fergus?
Yes.
Done.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We are on to item number 12, which is council appointments. We only have one today, 12A, Housing and Community Development Commission. There is one vacancy to fill an unexpired term upon appointment through June 30th, 2025. There is a gender balance there is no gender balance requirement.
It is.
There is for male, it has to be
Yeah.
male.
Or is it because it's
Since it's after the first, yes. It has dropped that requirement.
Yeah.
Did we have male applicants the first time
sorry?
around?
Did have male applicants the first time.
Yeah.
I guess it's my opinion that I'm trying to remember the state law. It basically says if you don't have any qualified applicants or
Yes.
something, then you advertise, and then eventually you lose the gender application. But my memory was that we actually had male applicants the first couple times, and so I think we need to stick with that.
And if I could venture, I think that I would
Only
be,
one female applicant anyway.
I think I would be, after looking through these again and looking at some of our late handouts, I'm really intrigued by the application of Horacio Borgen.
I would agree with that. Oh, I didn't see that. I'm sorry. No. I would absolutely agree with that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that name?
Horacio Borgen?
It was in the late handouts.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Oh.
Experience in that. That's why I was. I would be very comfortable appointing him.
Agreed.
There's a majority
Agree.
for Horacio Morgan to be appointed as a commissioner for the Housing and Community Development Commission. And we will just go ahead with the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we
Get a
need a motion
motion.
in a second. Sorry.
Oh,
So moved, Harmson.
Second, done.
all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 7-0. On to item 13, announcements of vacancies new. 13A is a Charter Review Commission, 9 vacancies to fill a one-year term beginning April 1st, 2024, and ending no later than April 1st, 2025. Applications must be received by 5 p.m. Tuesday, February 13th, 2024. Item number 14 is announcements of vacancies previous. We have the Ad Hoc Truth and Reconciliation Commission, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Applications must be received by 5 p.m. Tuesday, January 30th, 2024. Airport Zoning Board of Adjustment, 1 vacancy to fill a 5-year term. Airport Zoning Commission, 1 vacancy to fill a 6-year term. Board of Appeals, 1 vacancy to fill 1 vacancy for a HVAC or building design professional or a qualified trade representative with experience and training to fill a 5-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, East College Street, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Historic Preservation Commission, Jefferson Street, 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term. Historic Preservation Commission, Woodlawn Avenue, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Public Art Advisory Committee, 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term. Public Art Advisory Committee, 1 vacancy to fill an unexpired term. Senior Center Commission, 1 vacancy to fill a 3-year term. Vacancies will remain open until filled. Item number 15 is City Council information.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes.
Made it to 2024.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very excited to be here.
Yes.
And pleased to serve with all of you.
Welcome. Our next meeting is on the 16th, followed by our 20th, our all-day meeting for our budget starts then. Yes. So just a reminder there. Any other council information? Hearing none, we're going to go to item number 16, which is reports on items from our city staff, city manager's office.
No update tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
City Attorney's Office.
Nothing from me, Mayor. Thank you.
And City Clerks.
Nothing from me.
All right, we are at item number 17, adjournment. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dunn, seconded by Alter. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.